Good evening, good morning, everyone. This is Robin Booth coming to you with Airbnb Success. We regularly talk about what's happening in the Airbnb world, in the booking.com, on the short-term letting space. But this is all about how to improve your occupancy rates, increase your profits, increase your daily rate if that is the case, to automate your systems, your messaging, improve your cleaning possibilities, increase the reviews that you've got, or perhaps for some of you, just even get started on Airbnb. And the highlight, I guess, of today, or maybe not the highlight, because it's not a highlight, but the information that I see going on all of the property groups that I'm part of is the proposed interest rate hikes again today for many people. And as a property investor, that means less money left in your pocket at the end of the month. And those are big things for us to be discussing and talking about. I see in all of the investor network links, there's like, what do we do to keep our costs down? What do we do to mitigate the impact of the interest rate hikes? And there are some of you out there, perhaps some of the Airbnb rental arbitrage investors, in other words, the rent-to-rent model of Airbnb, where you're renting from a landlord and you are listing that apartment on Airbnb and therefore profiting and pocketing from that difference, are sitting there sweet because when you're renting, you're not feeling the impact of those interest rate hikes. So for those of you who start saying, oh, this is not a good option for interest rate hikes, those that are renting are sitting sweet because it won't impact their bottom line. No matter what that interest rate hike is, they're going to still be okay because the landlord feels the pinch and they're not. However, for those of you who have bought property to do Airbnb, and that is my model, I'm currently more invested in buying property. I love penthouses. The one that you see here, for many of you know, was one of the penthouses I bought a year and a half ago. I've just bought another one in this last month. Super excited about that. I will share more about that much later, not in this session, but later on in the year. That's where we're going to feel definitely the interest rate hikes. But for those that are doing the rent-to-rent, which is a majority of people, interest rates raise, okay. So they're not going to feel that, and their income is not going to drop and their profits because of that scenario. So there's some stuff that I definitely want to touch base on today, but I had thought for the first time ever, I would go live with some of your listings and show you what I would do differently, or perhaps give you some input into that. If I keep looking to the screen this side, it's because I have the chat open on that side. I can see what you're saying. If you are watching this right now live and you want me to look at your listing and give you my feedback, I've already got 2 listings stacked up, which we're going to have a look at, so that you can actually see what I mean by doing things in a more smart manner, in an efficient manner, and perhaps some of the tweaks that could make a difference. Do I know how to do everything? No. Am I the best at doing everything? No. But what I can do is keep tweaking something so that if it doesn't work the first time, I have the greatest chance if I tweak it to find what does work, maybe the second time, maybe the third time. And that is the key to my success, is keep figuring out that if something is no longer working, what could I test? You know, I get a lot of messages from people who've done my courses, who know that I have solutions to some of their challenges, who reach out to me to say, Robin, could you have a look at my listing, please, and give me some feedback, because I don't have as many bookings as I thought that I would have when I started. And I get messages from people who say, hey, Robin, I found this property. Do you think this would work well on Airbnb? And I can't help them because I don't have the time and I don't have that relationship. They're not one of my students. I'm not coaching them. So I can't do that. But here today, this is your opportunity. You have me for free. You have my opinions for free at this stage. You're not paying anything for it. But you have an opportunity for me to perhaps give you some insights, some information that could totally change how you list your Airbnb, whether it is Airbnb, booking.com, Verbo, Lekker Slaap, what homestay, home away, all those different things, the concepts and the fundamentals are the same. And I think that's what I'm wanting to touch base on today. So I am going to jump straight into some of these things that we're chatting about. As I said, I've got 2 listings. I'm looking at the chat. I don't see anything else there at the moment. If you have a question, you better ask it. If you have a listing you want me to look at, you need to check it, or you need to put it in there so I can look. Just Don't put your competition's listing in there so that we take a look and you can figure that out. Like, I want your listing. This is about you. As I say, I'm spending my time there helping you increase your profits, increase your occupancy rates, and do a better job at what you're wanting to do. Because ultimately, there's a goal that you're using Airbnb for, whether it's just to pay your property off because you bought it a long time ago and you've realized, well, traditional renting is okay, it's not the best, but I want, to double my income. Because remember, our general rule of thumb is you will earn twice as much on Airbnb than as you would in a traditional, normal 12-month lease to some tenant. So with that rule in thumb, we see a huge increase in supply of Airbnbs. A lot of people are shifting over to Airbnb or Booking.com. I don't want to just isolate either one, but definitely look to see what that could present to them. And I think this is the space that we want to do in. So I did see a question come through there. It says, in general, where are the best areas for Airbnb? That's a great question. In America, you can actually get software that will tell you the best areas. They will tell you the best areas to do rent-to-rents. They will tell you, you can get an apartment for this much rental and you could get this much on Airbnb. And wouldn't it be great that if you had both of those, that information, wouldn't it be just so simple to just action it? Here in South Africa, we have to be way smarter than that because those platforms and that software don't work here to the same degree. They just don't have the data. And part of that is because of our privacy acts. A software program can't scrape Property 24, private property, or Gumtree and extract relevant rental information and extract Airbnb data and correlate them against each other. We have to use our own brains to figure that out. And I talk about that in the advanced course in how to take a property that you think might work in a certain area, to do the background research, to see what you could get on Airbnb, to validate that daily rate and occupancy rate, to then project it and to figure out amongst yourself how to make that work. That's unfortunately what we have to do in South Africa, but fortunately, that's what we have to do in South Africa, because if you do that, you're going to be doing what no one else is doing, which means it's easier for you to dominate in South Africa than in many other places in the world. And perhaps you're going to see today, if we take a look at some of the listings that people might have, where South Africans are still really, we're a lazy bunch of people, if I'm going to just generalize and say this is who we are, because we still believe that we can take good photographs, or the photographs that we take are sufficient, or just we have to just put it up there and magic's going to happen. We need to be smart. We need to be entrepreneurial in our thinking. We want to outcompete our competitors next to us. I don't always mind that I don't have competition, because I just want to do better than them. Where the challenge is arising now is when people who follow what I'm doing and are my competition, or people who follow what I'm doing and do what I'm doing and become my competition, that's when the sweat starts increasing for me and I have to up my game. But at this moment, like I said, let's jump into some of the different listings that I've got. There's two. One is actually in Rosebank, another one is in Cape Town, and we'll definitely have a look there. Here we go, just to best area. That's going to be, like I said, it's a challenging one to determine, because there are different categories to look into. There's a category of the vacationers. Where do people want to go for a vacation, a breakaway? There's the category of for those who need to go and do work, like an executive space where they go to Sandton in Joburg and they need to have internet and backup power so they can carry on working and doing webinars. I went and spent time in a beautiful Airbnb. It was one that I actually went back to many times, except when I had to work there and they didn't have backup power and I couldn't do my coaching and Zoom sessions. And I said to the owner, I said, I love your place, but I can't ever come back again because I need power, and it's now becoming a prerequisite. So that would change the dynamic compared to I'm going to go to an Airbnb in some little town because I want to get away from everything. Well, then backup power is maybe a benefit as opposed to a hindrance. So I don't just guess, I do the numbers. As a property investor, I like making decisions, informed decisions on numbers. So the best part is to go where you think there is a possibility or an opportunity and then do the numbers out of that. As I said, go and do the research, You look to see what the cost is to rent or to buy. You look to see what the potential income you can get out of that. And that's all explained in the course, how you go and do that. So it is very varied. I would not fall into the mistake, and I say fall fairly consciously there, that you fall into the mistake that it just has to be this beautiful seaside village and town. I don't believe that, because if you look at those seaside villages and towns, trust me, they have a lot of Airbnb. So it works both ways. Okay, I believe the City Bowl in Cape Town is a great area. It seems like it. There's a lot of opportunity there, a lot of diverse capacity. There's lots of opportunity. The Clifton, Sea Point, Greenpoint, going to the City Bowl, Burkhardt, Devardekant. I've just today got one of my clients who's done the advanced course was so excited because she ran the numbers in a suburb down in the South Peninsula, so in Cape Town, but far down south. And I was like, that's quite far. To go to that place, you need to know that it's there. It's not like you just automatically know if you arrive in Cape Town, but the numbers looked amazing and she triggered it and off she's going. She's super happy with it. Is a 1 bed better than a 4 bed or 5 bed? Again, it depends on what you want to do. If you are going to have a 5 bed place, that's probably going to be a large family or a group. So where do those people go? If you're an executive, you don't just want to take out a 5-bedroom place all for yourself. 5-bedroom place, you can charge a lot more because 10,000 Rand a night divided by 10 people, let's say there are 5 rooms, that could be 10 people. That's cheap. That's like, you're now 1,000 Rand a night. Whereas a 10,000 Rand place for just a 1 bed means it's 5,000 Rand per person if a couple stay there. So there are a whole lot of variations that we look at. And the only way to sort that out and to decide is to jump in and to get going. And that doesn't mean you jump in and just take the first thing that comes on your plate, but it's to start feeling this out and to do the legwork. Put the soles of the feet onto the road and figure out what's going on there. Okay, that was just about the City Bowl. I'm going to take a look at this one. Let's see. Okay, I have to take a look at that and read that just one for now. Okay, who runs my Airbnbs as an external company, or do you have your own staff? So my systems run it. And what I mean by that is it's heavily systemized in the automation of all the messages from when someone books to 3 days before, to on the day, to the night before, on the night of the booking, to on the night before they check out, on the day of the checkout, to 2 days after they've checked out, to 8 days after they've checked out, and 10 days after they've checked out. All of those messages are automated and fly off. The messaging to the cleaners to tell them when the bookings are there, the messaging to the linen company who I rent the linen from is done that way. All that happens automatically, because I don't have to do that. It happens as part of how I've set stuff up, which means at this stage, I just need to keep monitoring to see some variation that sometimes happens. Like last night, it's a guest, as they left, said, just Robin, the front door handle is a bit loose. And then I just messaged one of the caretakers that I've got close by, and he just went and fixed it and sorted it out. So from that perspective, I need it to be heavily automated because I don't want another job. I don't want another thing to spend my time on significantly for that to happen. Now, I have a client who is American, who's just landed in South Africa a month ago. She doesn't plan to stay here for that length of time or to necessarily put all of her time into this. So she would like to have someone to manage it for her. There are a couple of things about managing companies that I have learned over the time. And I think actually I'll leave that to probably 2 weeks' time then and chat. Well, let's chat management companies and are they worth it? And what are the risks in outsourcing to a management company? Or how can we make sure they do produce good results? Because I have seen many listings that I know are being managed and I can see they just do not put attention to that. There's no incentive for them because they will just get a commission of what the bookings are, which means they have no desire to increase that because their percentage doesn't actually make a massive difference. It's not significantly different. And if they have 100 listings on their profile, you think they're going to go and tweak 100 different listings? I don't think so, and I know so. So I doubt that will happen that easily. So that's not an easy one to do. So I do see there's another question there, which I'll get to. It's a lengthy one, but I want us to jump into some of the listings that I have got the links to, because you've asked for that, and I think this is a great learning opportunity. So, Paul, we're going to go with yours. If I recall, she said she can't join us today, but she sent through her listing and her link. We should be able to see it here on the screen. Inverter backup, Parkwood, 10 minutes walk to Rosebank. There we have a whole lot of information. So I haven't looked at this yet. I'm going to go through it with you. As I've mentioned, what I say I believe is true for me. It is not saying this is the ultimate opinion. All I can share is what I think could be changed, what will be useful changing, because I think it will make a difference. And like I always say, we got to keep tweaking things, because when we tweak things, we get a different result. And our only criteria is that result taking us closer to our ultimate goal? And if yes, we keep doing it. If no, we do something different. Very simple coaching advice. So let's go into this straight away. Inverter backup, Parkwood, 10 minutes walk to Rosebank. So there's some real good insights there. It takes a lot of my advice as well, which is say in your title important things that are relevant to what people are looking for. Inverter backup is a massive one. It is becoming the most important criteria nowadays in people choosing where they want to stay or not. However, I'm going to say, if we take a look at a listing here, and I'm hoping you can see where the mouse is, but here it looks to me like this is one of those, probably a Mercer with 2 big batteries, because they just are, useful. But look how dark it is. I can't see what's there compared to, and I'm going to show you a different option is, let me actually just show you that. I'm just going to have to change that screen, and then we'll come back to this one. I just want to make sure I can show you that one. Okay, let me take that risk. I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm taking you to actually one of my listings, because I want you to see here is a picture of my inverter. Now, it's not about the inverter. This is like a proper 130,000 Rand inverter that I put in, but you can see there's text over it. It tells you straight away what's important. And again, I still believe that when Airbnb took away the title, and maybe I'll show you what I mean by that, I thought I'm going to now go and put my text on the picture. So this for me shows straight away that it's not just there's the picture. I'm directing their attention to what I think is really important. If we go back to pause one, we can see that there's this black box. Now, if someone doesn't know what that is, they don't know what it is. How amazing would that be if she just says here, backup power on that as well? Now, she said there she's got it in the title, but why not improve it? Make it more obvious. So that's going to be really important. Excellent. Next thing, pictures. They are important. And what I do like about what she's done is every picture is a different viewpoint. I see a lot of listings where 2 or 3 of the pictures look nearly identical, or they convey the same thing. There's a picture of a bedroom and a picture of a bedroom, and they look as if they're the same bedroom, and there's wasted space for someone to assess, do I want to come to this place or not? Because they've got a short amount of time, they need to look at it straight away. So that's going to be really, really important. The next thing we've got here, and let me actually go back. I'm looking, 29 reviews, 4.97. 4.97 out of 5 is fantastic. With 29 reviews, she's doing something well. I see that she's a super host, which is great. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot, because getting a super host, which is how I explain step by step how to do it in the advanced course, is actually easy. It still helps to get us going, but 4.97 is great. For 30 reviews is great. It shows that there is consistency. And if you are aware of what I call a startup strategy, you should be going at reduced pricing for at least 20 to 30 good reviews before you start looking at, I now want to start making a lot more money. Because the reviews, your social proofing, is a game changer on convincing people that this is worthwhile. Let me put it this way, you can have a higher rate, daily rate, than your whole competition. And if you've got way more reviews than them, people are going to think that the higher rate and the reviews are linked, which means the value is there and people will pay more for your place because they see it's got a track record of consistency and good reviews. Reviews. You've got to make that happen. And no one asks for them. No one actually follows up on a booking. If you're a host and you say to them, thanks for staying with us, please leave us a review, and all that wording, I also put in the course there. I give you the templates that are all there, but that is really specific. Now, some hosts go around saying, please give us, like I actually had this morning because I was in Johannesburg over the weekend, that Airbnb host kind of like was saying to me, please can you give us a good review because we want to uplift the building. And I was like, listen, there were quite a few things that I think you should do differently. There's masking tape around these windows and curtain rails just on the floor. I was like, you really want me to leave you a review? Well, it might not actually work in your best favor. So, but the process of how to be a really successful host in South Africa, people are just missing the boat. But that's great. 29 reviews, you're on your way. If you told me it's 29 reviews in a year, I think we might have to look a little bit about that. And longer than that, definitely we need to be chatting then. So those are all fine. Nice and light photographs. That's great. So let's take a look here because I want to see if she's got, for me, the most important thing, which is a strike through. Nope, no strike through. No way of showing a discount. And I'll show you what I mean by that. No way of seeing if this is a better price. Actually, let me just go across. Let's go forward. Okay, so here's one. This is what I mean. Look at that. Okay, so there's also 4.96, 45 reviews. This one I've had for a year now. This was the one that you see actually behind me in my screen, right? There it is there. But take a look at what I'm talking about there. You see how this gives the indication of, wow, this is like a 1,500 Rand discount. This must be good. I'm going to book it. I'm going to go for it. That's what we know how to create, that strike through. That is what starts to make a difference for you if you're a host, because you're going to show that there's value here. And especially in the wintertime, that's going to be an exciting opportunity. Everyone loves a good deal. And when they see this, they're going to think that they've got a good deal. Now, sometimes this happens by chance in your Airbnb listing. I leave nothing to chance. I know how to create that. I know how to position that. That is one of the fundamentals of the course, is to show you how to do that. That's where that's going to be super, super important. And that's what I see employers missing. She's missing how to do that. So all we've got here is 745. It's like, oh, okay, I'm just getting market-related price. And unfortunately, South Africans are often choosing a place to stay based on price. So that's just something that we definitely need to look at. Okay, well, there's some other questions coming in now. Great. I'm going to touch base on them as well. Let's keep going on. Fantastic here. Great for remote work. Fast Wi-Fi at 104 megabits per second. Important. This is a new trend that's happening. People work remotely. What she's done is she's done the important thing, which is she's gone into a listing. She's clicked the button that says Airbnb test my Wi-Fi, because she can't put that speed in. Airbnb tests it for you, and then they put it there. Because what was happening before? People were saying, you've got Wi-Fi. Someone comes, they try and use it, and it's so slow that then they get frustrated. So Airbnb realized they had to actually prove how fast it is so people can rely on it. And she's done a great thing there and made that work. Super, super important. It looks like she's even got her work table there to show someone this is work related, like an executive suite, right? Come in and be part of this. It looks like a kind of cottagey, rustic place. And you can work here and you've got fast Wi-Fi. So from that, her clientele could definitely look at that. So that's all great. And yeah, I'm going to leave that there. Excellent. 60 amenities. So she's gone and stacked them out. So really, really important from that perspective. Here are just some of the reviews. That's all great. And that would be the most important thing just on the surface of what I see. If we just go and take a quick look at the photographs, and then I'll move on to the other one. I'm a little bit concerned that there's a lot of darkness here. I mean, it's nice. I would look to see how you can brighten this so it still shows the character, but it doesn't just have that darkness. That you've got to change. You have to change. Make the photo lighter, but definitely there needs to be some clarity of what this thing is. So please do go and do that. Yeah, the rest is all sweet. Look at that. There's some nice detail to it. That's interesting. It gets cold, so good to put that there. Different ways of positioning. So all this is great. Lovely touches. So it looks like there was some really good thought that went into this. So from that perspective, 100%, that's all good. What I think the most important thing on this is going to be your discounting. Whether your pricing is good or not, I'm not quite sure, but those are things that are there. And yeah, it can also be a self-check-in, which is also important. Okay, so those are just the things off the top of my head there. Let me just go back to some of these questions while we go into this. Okay, let's go with this one. Let me see if I can. Okay, there we go. When a guest damages the property, how do you recover the money? I know they have to pay a damage deposit, but what if that doesn't cover the damage? So let's just quickly chat about Airbnb. Airbnb has air cover, where as a host, you have up to $3 million. $3 million worth of damage cover, and that is for nearly anything that you can think of. So I've used it to replace kitchen tables, chairs, linen, lots of linen, towels, stains, makeup marks, lamps that have broken, TV remotes that have broken, cigarette stains on the kitchen table. So stuff like plates, glasses, very easy because it's covered. You literally just upload the documentation, the proof, the photographs, the proof, the receipts to replace it, click, and it does it all. It doesn't wait for the guest to pay you, because the guest might say, I didn't break it, or no, I'm not going to refund you that. That's not fair. And air cover, the Airbnb side, will pay you automatically. The guest does not have to pay a deposit upfront on Airbnb. Booking.com is a different scenario. There, they don't have a damage cover. That's up for you. And that is a bit more tricky. And there's a whole debate about how you either collect their damage deposit, which for many people has to be cash. Believe it or not, cash. Like a guest comes with 5,000 Rand cash and gives that to, I don't know who, because I'm not there, but in theory, they're implying you have to hand it over to the host, to you, and then on the day of exit, you have to have subtracted what the damage was and give it back to them. It's such a tricky nightmare. I don't do it that way, but that's the risk with Booking.com. And if you know anything about Booking.com, on the one hand, yes, it gives you bookings, but the challenge is how you manage that is tricky. Some people take out commercial insurance for that. So now it's just for those small things and the small breakables. It's an ongoing challenge of how to resolve that. But with Airbnb, that is super easy and is really, really useful and important. So that's the first one there. Okay. Let me just see. Okay, I can actually go with the next one here. Let's go this. How many photos do you think would be ideal? I have similar photos of the spaces so the guests can see the rooms from all angles. So I think having lots of photos is good because some people like the detail. I would not have lots of the same photos, especially not like we look at here, coming back to Paul, we don't want the same photo or the same room twice. If you've got the same room twice, you're leaving, showing them something else about your property, which is important. And I think that's what you should be focusing on looking at is bring in more photos, not just of the same angle. When you click on it and you go in, like we saw with Paul, we're going down to some of these other photos, like she had here, 2 of the same. That's fine because someone's curious and they're going to go down. But on your cover screen, definitely not. Each one should be different. The colors should be different so it looks balanced and it pops and not all just monotonous and the same. So that is definitely my suggestion on that. Quickly talking about here, what is the normal occupancy rate? Well, a normal occupancy rate is definitely going to vary from suburb to suburb, and you can actually find that out. There's some software that you can use that you enter the address and it will tell you what the current predicted occupancy rate is for that area and for your unit. That is useful. It's a starting point. I see a lot. I think in South Africa, I've seen, I think maximum on the software was 68%. And generally, I'm seeing probably between 30 to 48 is what they often say is the average. That's average, and that's insane. I shared on our group post this morning that since November last year to the 1st of May, I had a 100% occupancy rate. And I proved that to some of my students as well over the last few days, because I know what to do and I know how to manage this and to tweak it and to position it correctly and not be too greedy. So for me, my average and on a year average is 90 to 95. That's what I'm wanting. We're in the dead low season for me. May, June is low. I'll still make money. I'm not going to lose money, but it's just, I need to just carry this period of time. And then obviously everything else just goes on to that. So if you can find out what the average is, our proof, our strategies and tips will definitely get you 20% more than whatever the average is. That I can promise and guarantee. I've proven that. If you actually do the course, I show you that. I show you what, I take you through some of my listings. I show you what the software tells my places, and I'll show you what I got as occupancy and as money out of that listing. So, I'm not here to talk just hokey pokey, let's all, hope that things go well. I show you proof, because proof doesn't lie. The results at the end of the day is what makes a difference. And that's the absolute game changer. Okay, does your course also cover obtaining finance to buy property, or is the option renting the property? So let me just put that out there. So and I want to get into the other listing after this question. So here we're talking about how let's just call it that there are two core models at this moment that we could look at: buying a property to Airbnb and renting a property from someone else so that you can sublet, or I prefer the word list on Airbnb. The moment you say to a landlord, I want to sublet, they throw up their hands and go, oh, this is so tricky. I don't want you renting it to someone else. I'm not renting it to someone else. I'm listing it on Airbnb. I'm your tenant and I'm managing this listing. So obtaining finance, that is going to be a traditional model for many people as a normal investment property or as a residential unit that you're getting. Banks are still very cautious to look at Airbnb income as a sustainable, legit income. They will, but they're needing a couple of tweaks in that, and they're a bit more umming and ahhing, and because you're getting 2,000 Rand this night, and maybe there's a gap, and then so your monthly income, if it's just Airbnb, will vary. And as you know, banks want surety and security. So they're going to come and say, yeah, it's not as accurate as a long-term tenant where we know you're going to get the same amount of money every month. They are changing their insight, and it can be done in a different way to make that work. And it is worthwhile looking at. The main difference, though, remember I said right at the beginning of the session, and if you didn't hear it, I'll share it again for you now. The rule of thumb is you can at least, or on average again, get twice the income on Airbnb as you would if it was a normal long-term rent or normal long-term tenant. So if you're buying a property, you're basically going to have a certain amount of Airbnb income. In most places in South Africa, to rent a property, your actual monthly cost is a lot less. You don't have rates, taxes, don't have the bond payments. In general, and let's just talk, let's say in Cape Town, for a 2 million Rand property, you're probably going to get something like an 11,000 Rand rent, 12,000 Rand rent. On a 2 million Rand property, 12,000 Rand rent. Now, if you had bought a 2 million Rand property, your monthly expenses are going to be about 25,000 Rand, because there's 2 million Rands worth of money that you're paying for, plus your rates and taxes, plus maintenance, like core maintenance, plus some other odds and ends. So call that on a 2 million Rand property, 25,000 Rand you're going to have just to cover your expenses. But that 2 million Rand property rents for 12,000 Rand. So if I'm getting 25,000 Rand from Airbnb, but I'm only paying 12,500 Rand rent, I'm pocketing that difference. So if you're looking for cash flow, the rent-to-rent model is the best one that I know in any investing model, because I'm not buying the property, I'm just renting it from a landlord, and I'm probably going to put down 1 month deposit or 2 months damage deposit. So it's not an expense because the landlord has to give it back to me at the end, and I'll pay the rent in advance. And assuming I have rented out a furnished apartment, I can start generating income literally from the first month that I've put it on Airbnb. That's the game changer for me. Okay. So let's go back to the second one here. I just want to see where it is. Okay, here we go. And let's see how different it is to the first one. Like I said, if you want me to look at your apartment or your listing on Airbnb, then you need to let me know so we can take a look. I just want to see if anyone else has put it out there. Okay, not yet. Yeah, comment, even with long-term rentals, banks are hesitant to lend money. Yeah, definitely with this increase in interest rates, we've seen that significantly. Okay, so here, this is Dimitri's one. What's interesting is he put the link in and it had .uk. So it's just so we're going to have to look at this, unfortunately, in pounds. Sometimes, you can't see .uk because you don't see the URL. Okay. I don't see. Okay, let me just hide that message there. Sorry. Yeah, you'll see when I put in, let's put in some dates here. There we go. You're going to see pounds, unfortunately, but that point is there. I think I might be able to change this in the URL to .za just so that we can see if it throws it out. Let's hope it's fine. We got it. There we go. We got the rands. So let's take a look at what he's got here, and we can see what our comments are. So there we go. I know he's done part of the advanced course. You can see he's got it listed there with some title there. Again, giving people an indication of what's important. From the title here, what's actually interesting is I was reflecting on this. He's got unrivaled. Now, on a feeling level, when I see it makes me feel negative, right? I would rather look at some word that is positive from the start as opposed to like not. Not restricted sea view for me implies a not, and a not creates a sense of negativity. And I have a problem with that word unrivaled. I would rather have majestic, beautiful, direct views, not unrivaled, because it has this negative connotation. Even though I know it's saying the opposite, it's a feeling I'm left with. And there's a thing about sales I've learned, which is you do not want to give any reason for someone not to do business with you. I'm going to say that again. You do not want to give anyone any reason not to do business with you. And this just had that like little bit of a jolt to me. So I would definitely change that. I would have direct sea views from your apartment or something like that. So again, unparalleled location, as opposed to unique location, incredible location, the most opportunistic location, something that is always focused on the positive, not on the negative. So there, I would definitely look at that. If I take a look at these pictures here, you see these two diagonals, they look the same. I can see when I look, they're different, but if I stood back and just observed it, they look the same to me, and they have the same, all four of those have the same beige, bland look. Like, where are those colors that pop? Where is this thing that gives a sense of brightness or fun? I mean, you're on the beach, you want to go for a vacation, but it looks the same. So I would say there's you see how the blue just stands out a little bit? And I'm looking across at it on this screen as well, what you're all seeing. And I see that blue is what I call, it's a color that pops. The first part of the Airbnb course, I talk extensively about the photos you need so that they stand out, that it pops against your competition. That's what I call pops out. It's like a flare. You have this background of more natural colors, and then you have bright cushions or bright photograph. Whereas I don't see it in here. It all looks pretty similar. Next thing, Dimitri, your face is cut off. Again, it would show me a sense of you haven't looked at this carefully. You need to take a look. If I was looking and wanting to create, like, who's this host? Is he going to be a good host or not? I don't know. You need to relook and position this so that people can see who you are. It looks like you've got a suit or at least a jacket, so it's professional. It gives me a sense of surety and security, but your face is cut off. What that means for me, and I'm an analytical person, is like, if you miss that detail, what else are you missing in your apartment? I'm probably going to go there and not like it, or there's going to be something wrong. So change that. Same with Paul. Where is the strike through? Where is the most important part, the game changer that differentiates you from literally all your other listings around you? You do not have a strike through there. I know this is a new listing. It says it's new. You've got 2 reviews. If I recall, this has been up maybe for a month or something. I want to know, why aren't there more reviews? What's going on there? And I don't know. I mean, I know that you watch these, so I'll be curious to see what is going on, and maybe at some point I can take a look and give some feedback. But I would want to see more reviews. I want to know, why aren't there more reviews? If you've had this already up there for a while, if it is that it's launched in the low season, which is sometimes the case, and it's that can always be a challenge. Then I get that. I can get how just getting those reviews and bookings is a challenge, but that is important, right? The reviews, and that. But where's the strike through? What's going on there? The rest of it, that's all fine. I can see 44 amenities. That's good. So that's all great. You'll get going on that. There's just some of the reviews. So that would be important. In this case, what's also useful is, as you can see, Dimitri has closed off his calendar just like a month or 2 in advance, which is good for a startup strategy. You don't want to have your low price, because this is a low price, and he knows it is. He's following the fundamentals of the startup strategy, which is we start low because we want to bank reviews. I just want to check if he's got something else in place. Okay, that's also would be my comment to him. So part of what we look at in a startup strategy is we want to have a lower price because we want reviews, but we want to make sure that people don't take the low price for a long period of time, because then we get 1 review for a low price and we don't get anything in return. Rule number 1 for me is startup strategy, low price between 1 night and 4 nights, which limits someone who knows a good deal, which is this. Someone could come and book this out for 2 months, and this is going to be an absolute deal for them, because they're getting a whole month, like literally at the price of probably what the rental is. So that needs to change if you're following my suggestion on how the startup strategy is, because then you might have someone books for 10 days. Now you've got 10 days at a low price. You're not bleeding. You're not generating what you want, and you're only going to get 1 review. Hope that they give you the review in return. Separate to, you can only book 4 days. If you want like 2 weeks, then book 4 days, 4 days, 4 days, 4 days, and then at least you'll get a review every 4 days. That it's the same person doesn't matter. It will still count as 4 reviews. Whereas now you're going to struggle to get reviews of people booked for longer periods of time, which might be why you've got so few reviews, because people have booked for a length of time, and therefore you've lost out on that. So that's just something that I would look at. If you say to me, hey, but Robin, but it's the low season, so I've needed to open it up, then rather say maximum of 4 days. And if you book for more, I can open up the calendar for you. Then rather do that. That's something that I'll definitely look at and think about. Let's just quickly take a look at some of the other pictures. Okay, yeah. See here again, colors. I mean, they are beautiful. I mean, look at that, beautiful, right? That's a fantastic picture. Color, it pops, great. I think the photographs are good in the sense of what they convey. In other words, they are professionally taken photographs, no doubt about that. Just, it's lacking for me in some of that pop in making that stand out a little bit more. So there we go. Those are just some of, off the top of my head, things that I see there that I definitely think could be looking at. Some of the things that I would perhaps look at in a different way here is, as you can see, Airbnb is only showing us a certain amount of information in this first section. So I would make sure, I would take out the center line, and I would make sure that I am using that space so that it actually covers what I can see. Let me actually show you what I mean by that. I'm going to take you back to my one. Like I say, results don't lie. Proof is in the pudding. I'm going to take you back to this one here so that you can see what I'm referring to. Take a look at that. Look how much more I'm going to get in here so that someone just seeing stuff is going to see and actually acknowledge straight away how much more information they can see here. Taking a look here as well, we have 2 guests, 1 bedroom, 1 bed, 1 bath. It's repeated. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, self-catering apartment. Of course, it's self-catering. Well, okay, let me not say that. I might be wrong. There might be other ones out there. Look to make sure that the information you want your guests to see to help them make a decision is said very quickly so that they can make a decision. So far, modern 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, self-catering apartment, for me, is often implicit with a Airbnb. Airbnb is known for not being a catered apartment. So all of that first line is wasted, and I don't get anything out of what could make a difference here. Is the gateway to your next unforgettable beach holiday? I promise you that this is what every other Airbnb host is implying or thinking, that you're going to have a great stay at my place. It's a great unforgettable holiday. The information that you're giving doesn't help them see or believe that it is going to be an unforgettable holiday. Coming back to my one here, take a look. If I say to you, taking up the entire 9th floor of this modern block on the beach, this is penthouse living at its best, you know straight away, you've got the whole block. That's going to help you make a decision. I've got no neighbors. I can have this whole space to myself. Those are the kind of things we want to share straight away with them so that it makes a massive difference. Okay, let me just go back to what he's saying, and then I'm going to come back to your questions before we take off this. Okay, I haven't even gone into what's more there, but you can get a sense, located at Big Bay Beach. Okay, that's fine, which is home to that's interesting, the Red Bull King of the Air kite surfing, only if your guests come there. And it actually might be worthwhile knowing that Red Bull doesn't go there anymore. They go down further to Kite Beach. So it's just something you might want to just change. Good that you're sharing how far it is from the V&A waterfront, because they also ask that, so you're avoiding that. So again, just take a look to see, whatever else you're mentioning here is worthwhile. I love how you've done the ticks. Lovely. It's like nice and concise. I was like, maybe I should do something like that. So that's a good technique and a tip there about giving quick information that will be useful, right? Grocery stores, there's a laundromat. Fantastic. You did that one well. So well done on that. But the most important information, which is all this here, definitely you could improve by 50%. And I promise you'll make a difference on that listing if you do that. Okay, sure. Right. You guys getting some value out of this? Well, let us know, because it feels like I'm giving free coaching here. Okay. Traditional rental business, but let me just see if I can bring this across here so I don't have to turn my head to the side. So I'm just dragging it to the other side. Give me a moment. Oh, wow. We've been here for 48 minutes already. Okay. Rental business, but dealing with tenants. Yeah, pivoting to Airbnb. So this is interesting. Let's go with this. Yeah, really interesting. I had the traditional rental business, but dealing with tenants can be very stressful. So I'm thinking of pivoting to Airbnb. Yes, and dealing with some Airbnb guests who have no common sense is bizarre. It can also be stressful. But if you're earning more money, it helps to compensate for that stress. So that's how I would look at that. This was interesting here. Out of interest, I can't find Dimitri's listing on Airbnb. Perhaps it has something to do with his .co.uk listing. I had the same thing. I couldn't find it when I searched for the whole of that. I don't think it's about the .co.uk. I couldn't figure out why not. But you also hit the nail on the head. Are you checking your listing that it is live and that you can see it or someone else can see it? I check because he happens to have a listing right next to mine. So he's one of my competition. So I can't believe I'm telling him how to improve his own listing. But yes, I couldn't find it either. So good point, Dimitri. Check that out. Excellent. Someone says this is great info. Thank you. Thank you. Good. I'm glad you're hearing that. This is the information that we give in the course so that you have what you need. And you can see very quickly you're going to do better than everyone else. Now, the two that we have already seen are already better than everyone else. Now take into account all the other information I'm sharing, and you're going to be even better, which is why I say you can at least be guaranteed an extra 20% occupancy than you're currently getting by just following a whole lot of stuff that we're talking about now. Okay. So any last questions, comments before I check out and we look at something else. There was one other comment that I just want to look for, but I'm going to just check to see if there's anything else. Okay, so let me just see. I hope there's no personal information here. I'm just going to throw it on here. Right. Robin, I've just completed the advanced course. Well done, which was fantastic. Great. Isn't it super interesting to see COVID again? Because for most people, I committed to starting the Airbnb course like 2 weeks before COVID hit, like the first lockdown. And there I was saying, okay, I'm going to do this advanced course. And I started a new listing on the 1st of March. And I think it was just before that our lockdown happened, or around that time. I was like, oh, great. Here I've said to people, I'm going to start an Airbnb in lockdown, the first month of lockdown. And I take you through that in the advanced course. I take you through that whole process of how I had to pivot and change. And suddenly then we had level 5, then we had level 4, and I show you live. Okay, we've just heard level 4. This is how I'm changing the listing, and you will see how I still retained nearly 100% occupancy rate, if I'm not mistaken, during COVID, and how I used all those strategies to make it work. So I hope you enjoyed all of that, because it must be a blast from the past going back to that and look at what we had to deal with during COVID. Okay, searching for units in my area of choice. That's great. Timing, okay, looking at the Bloberg area. Damn, another competitor. Okay, I don't know what else there was that you said there, but yeah, the high season is December, January, February, March, sometimes into April. It's always great to have reviews and high reviews by the time high season comes, but because there is such a demand, you can make it work. At least you can get going and get started. You won't lose money in getting started. You might not make the money that you hear everyone else making, but you're starting in the lower season. From my experience, it's more difficult to find the right apartment. So if you find the right apartment, I'll just get going as soon as you can. I think that's way more important at this moment. I just want to see if your question had anything else on that. So let me just check. Yeah, you said 1st of June, 1st of July latest. This would mean that my startup strategy would be completed in September, in time for summer season. Your thoughts on the timing? I think I've given you that in that sense. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you, Andrew, for the sharing. Running any free webinars? No, this is about the only one where I'll just come in and touch base on a few things. You can get the free course. I think it's even listed in this. If not, on somewhere on the Sapin pages, it's there. If not, send the admin people a message to get access to that, because I show you how other people have done it, and I show you different models. I show you how to house hack. I show you how to take a granny flat. I show you how to take a whole house. I show you a subdivision of a house. I show you a farm cottage that was done, a whole lot of variety, and I show you their figures, their numbers of how much they earned. And I actually give you insight into what I would do differently if I was that host, so that you have some of that information. So definitely go and take a look at that, because that's your starting point. And if you aren't convinced out of that, then I don't know any other strategy better than this at the moment. And I have multi-lets, I have student houses, I've got commercial, I've got developments going, and nothing beats the Airbnb model at this moment for me, which is where I'm focusing on, because it's automatable, it's systemized, and it works as long as you're doing what I'm sharing with you to do. Okay, there we go. This was our longest session so far, 54 minutes in. It's been great. I'll let you all know again when the next time is for us to take a look at that listing. I promise you, I promise, Mpo, Dimitri, you change those things that I've shared with you, and you will increase your occupancy, you will increase your profits, and you will definitely create that momentum that we're talking about, so that you can really benefit more and more from that. So from my side, I'm going to sign out. At some point, I'll share more with the latest property that I've just bought. Like I said, it's another penthouse. I love that. It's super exciting. But I will share more of that another time, because obviously we're still in the process, and I'm still getting it prepped, and how it's different, and how I'm making it unique, whole lot of different things. So looking forward to that and sharing that information with you. So great for you to join, and always look forward to touching base again in 2 weeks. I'm actually thinking of shifting the time slot for 1 or 2 weeks to give other people a chance. Lunchtime is one thing, but maybe it's not good for everyone. And yes, there is a recording, but I'd like to get other engagement from people as well, so that we can keep building the wealth of other South Africans out there. So hope you're having a good rest of the afternoon. And as always,